without Kobe is a nice accomplishment, but moving on throughout the playoffs without Kobe, well, that just doesn't seem likely. Moments after it was known Kobe had a torn Achilles in Friday night's win over the Warriors, the blame game began. Was it the minutes? Was it D'Antoni? Was it his age? Was it all of the above? Well, here's what Kobe had to say on Twitter last night before the Lakers played the Spurs. He said, "Can't move for 2 weeks, so I'm laid up. We'll watch game on TV and give adjustments if needed by phone at halftime." Hashtag count on. He's so funny with these hashtags. Count on the game. All right, so here we go. Count on the team. The question for you is this, and I'll start with you first. You want to give Stephen A. go first? With all things considered, do you blame D'Antoni?
I want to echo what I said on SportsCenter over the weekend, because I think it's very important to be careful about the word blame. And the reason I say that is because nobody wanted this to happen to Kobe Bryant. Mike D'Antoni, Mitch Kupchak, the Lakers organization, nobody wanted Kobe to tear his Achilles or anything like that. And I don't think anybody fathomed that possibility. But when you talk about culpability, there is no question that Mike D'Antoni to Mitch Kupchak, right on upstairs to Jim Buss, are definitely culpable in all of this. And Kobe, okay? And I'm going to break it down to you, Skip, and I'm just going to tell you the things that I heard. Kobe Bryant obviously was asked, take care of yourself, guard your minutes, etc., etc. Kobe basically told him to go to hell. I'm not coming out of the game, okay? So obviously Kobe shares some culpability on that level. 45.2 minutes a game in the month of April, #1 in the league. 38.6 minutes all season long, average minutes per game, which was tied for second with Damian Lillard, a rookie in Portland, only eclipsed by Luol Deng of the Chicago Bulls. And by the way, Tom Thibodeau, hopefully we're not having this discussion about him somewhere down the line because one of his players get hurt. But here's the deal. You've got that going on. Kobe Bryant, too many minutes. He's partly to blame. Then you've got Mike D'Antoni, not strong enough to sit there and say, look, I'm the coach getting paid $4 million annually. I run this shop. You're going to sit down. Now, it might not be in the fourth quarter, but you go get some rest in the second and third quarter. This is what we're going to do, and that's that. He didn't do that, all right? To some degree, deemed selfish by some people in NBA circles as a dude that was looking to save his own hide, his job, all right? Now, Mitch Kupchak, obviously a renowned, highly respected executive in this league as well. He should be. If Mike D'Antoni wasn't going to make that decision, Mitch Kupchak should have stepped in and said, Kobe, you're not going to play these minutes. But last but not least, it brings me to Jim Buss. Because, again, it was Jim Buss that hired Mike Brown. I'm not knocking Mike Brown because Mike Brown would guard his minutes. Mike Brown was focusing on defense and feeding the ball to the big boy, so he wasn't running them into the ground schematically. But hiring Mike Brown, who didn't have the clout of a Phil Jackson, who didn't have the respect of a Kobe Bryant because Kobe Bryant wanted Brian Shaw. That was an element. Then you go from Mike Brown to Mike D'Antoni. And Mike D'Antoni obviously isn't strong enough, evidently, doesn't want to be contentious, okay? So that impacted stuff. Jim Buss knew all of this, still hired a coach that couldn't have that kind of impact on Kobe Bryant, still hired a coach that coached the system that we're, playing at that frenetic pace and all of this other stuff. All of those things contributed to it, Skip. So in my mind, what it comes down to is ultimately the Lakers organization and Jim Buss is primarily at fault because he made the decisions that ultimately led to all of this happening.
Okay, so in the end, you're blaming minutes for this injury.
Yes, mileage. 54,031 career minutes in Kobe Bryant's career, Skip.
Stephen A., with all due respect, you're wrong about this.
Okay.
I've been doing this a little longer than you have. The most mysterious injury in all of sports is the Achilles. It follows no pattern, no age, no circumstance. It's almost always non-contact. It's almost always without any precarious fall involved. It just goes. I don't know why it goes, Stephen A. And when it goes, your career can go with it because it's the most damaging, difficult to overcome injury in all of sports, even beyond any of the ACLs, MCLs, all of the above. Maybe concussions can be worse, obviously, but as far as something going, a tendon going, there's nothing worse than the Achilles. And I quote the great Tim Grover, who you know trained Michael Jordan, has trained Kobe. He tweeted that Kobe's injury was not about minutes. He's conditioned to play 48, and he'll play 48 again. And Achilles can just go any age or circumstance. And God bless him, Stephen A. As Kobe said late Friday night, I've made that move a million times. I think it has zero to do with mileage, 35 years old, 17 years, D'Antoni system. I don't know. It's just, it's almost like genetic predisposition. It's just going to go. It's like a ticking time bomb. Dan Marino, the great NFL quarterback that he was, age 32, he's just drifting to the right outside the pocket. All of a sudden he looks down. I don't know what happened. You feel like you got shot in the calf. Nobody touched him. He looks down. I don't know. My Achilles is gone. Really? And then we got our friend Terrell Suggs. I don't know. Reportedly, he was either in an off-season basketball game or just doing some workout. His Achilles snaps. How do you figure? Remember Fred Davis, who was RG3's go-to guy last year in the game against your Giants at New York? Fred Davis just running over the middle, age 26, stumbles and looks down and says, Skip, I don't know what happened. My Achilles is gone.
But, Skip, that's not really the point, and here's why. The point that I'm making is not necessarily about the particular injury itself. There were two plays that happened in that very game. Kobe drives to the basket, messes up his left knee when he's sandwiched under the basket, was one of them. Another time when he made the spin move and missed the shot but got fouled and then walked all the way to midcourt writhing in pain. What I'm trying to say to you is that you talk to Tim Grover or anybody else that trains athletes, they'll tell you that in all probability that might have been the clear indication that something was about to happen as it pertains to the Achilles. But I'm not trying to blame. I'm just telling you what they're saying. My point to you is when you know that you're compiling these minutes, listen, Kevin Garnett is in his 18th season in the NBA. It's not an accident that Doc Rivers has him averaging 31 minutes. Paul Pierce is in his 15th season in the NBA. It's not an accident that Doc Rivers has him averaging 34 minutes. When you listen to these coaches, I don't know this stuff, Skip. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not trying to refute your points. I'm simply saying, covering this league, you constantly hear these guys talk about, you got to monitor the minutes because as fatigue kicks in and the body's wearing down, anything can happen. That's what they say. I took the liberty of picking up the phone over the weekend and calling Larry Brown. You know, my guy, Larry Brown, a Hall of Fame coach, now at SMU, champion with the Pistons, 76ers coach, and Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson's last 5 years, under Larry Brown, he averaged 41.6 minutes. Over his career, in 14 seasons, 11 times he averaged 40-plus minutes. So Larry Brown was like, who am I to say anything about any coach in terms of minutes played to a player? Okay. Look at how much I played Allen. So I get it. But at some point in time, if we're willing to acknowledge that those minutes played wears someone down, you know how much you're going to need Kobe. Don't tell me Phil Jackson would have sat there and just let... Exactly. Right. Phil would have said, agree. You're sitting down. But that's all I'm saying.
I'm just talking about energy. The ability to be fresh going to the playoffs. I thought this was like a suicidal pace for Kobe in a basketball sense to play 48 a night. What were you going to have left for the Thunder in the first round?
But that's all I'm saying. In other words, I understand the breakdown of the Achilles. I get your point, Skip. I totally agree with you. My point to you is that if you're going to acknowledge still that playing those kind of minutes will wear you down, then you're susceptible to anything happening because you're worn down. And your coach's responsibility, you don't have to play. Why are you getting paid $4 million? You got to manage the personnel you have. Okay. You have to do that.
But Stephen A., look how Coach Popovich manages. No one gets more than 30 minutes a night. And they all get hurt. I don't know. It doesn't correlate to me. Right. It's like one of those sort of tragic coincidences with Kobe. I don't know. Now it looks bad. It's an easy leap to make. I'm just not sure it correlates. High mileage Achilles went.
54,031 minutes. Michael Jordan or Allen Iverson. None of them did that, Skip.
I hear you.
I understand. But
we will continue this later in the show.
Yeah, Stephen A. But Grover, that's a loud endorsement for him to say it just happens. Do you not agree with that? Good point, Skip.
Well, of course, I get. I'm in no position to question Tim Grover or anybody else. I'm simply talking about mileage.
Okay.
Anything can happen when you allow that amount of mileage to continue to accumulate.
I agree. Here we go, guys.